Hey guys, what's up, Tags here. Welcome back to another F1 video on this channel. Today it's a topic video talking about F1 2017's most underrated driver. So I should say, this video is probably going out after the Grand Prix, but I'm recording it before the Grand Prix. So any facts and that sort of stuff are sort of kind of probably, hopefully, true before the Grand Prix, but of course they might not make any sense after it. So this video is basically talking about drivers that are in a sort of smaller team who I think deserve to be in one of the bigger teams. So let's get into this straight away with number 5. Now, as with a lot of these videos, they're not in any sort of particular order, but I just want to mention there are 5 and we'll go through them right now. But as I said, no particular order, so please don't have a go at me. Maybe in the comment section down below you can do your own list, your favourite 5 that you think should be in a better team. But anyway, let's get into this with number 5, which is Sergio Perez. Now, there were lots of links with him to Ferrari for a couple of seasons, but since he switched to Force India, those have sort of gone a bit cold. But who knows, maybe for next season he could line up alongside Vettel in that Ferrari. Who knows, because let's be honest, that's all a bit of a mixed bag. Raikkonen hasn't really been performing, but you know, Perez, he's been decent, but then obviously in qualifying Bahrain, not that good. So yeah, anyway, in terms of Perez's whole career, I think personally he didn't start off on the best foot. He did quite a lot of crashes. He sort of was known as a bit of a crash kid in his first couple of races, but he's really progressed. He's turned into a driver where, you know, if there's a surprise podium, he's generally on it, and he's done a really good job over the last couple of years at Force India to nab those surprise podiums and put himself up there when he probably shouldn't deserve to be up there in some situations. That car just somehow, like, him and the car just worked together really well in some random situations, and he manages to get a podium. So for me personally, I think Sergio Perez hopefully should be in a top team before the end of his career, but we know how Formula 1 works. It all doesn't go the way you normally think it will. So for me personally, I think he's right up there. What do you guys think? Sergio Perez, I think one of the most underrated guys on the grid, and I think possibly we could see him in a top team soon, but probably not. I don't know. Next up, we've got Romain Grosjean. And before you ever go at me, I know he's getting on a little bit now, so he's not really like a one-dickhead or anything, but in 2013, in my opinion at least, he was probably the best driver behind Sebastian Vettel that year, especially in the second half of the season. He really stepped up when Raikkonen was having a bit of a hissy fit at Lotus. He really stepped up and he did a really good job. He had some really good pure pace, but once he sort of had a couple of bad team moves, it sort of dimmed down that. But I think personally, Romain Grosjean is such a talented driver. I'm gutted that he hasn't actually got into a bigger Formula 1 team. I know he's raced for Lotus and Renault, who are big teams in themselves, but they aren't particularly sort of a really quick team, which is something that he lacks. I think he went to Haas hoping that he might be racing for Ferrari, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen anymore. But I keep my fingers crossed, because I think Romain Grosjean deserves it. And if you put a team alongside Vettel, I think it'll be a lot closer than people think, because to be perfectly honest, 2013 especially, so quite a few years ago, and I think Grosjean has improved since then. He was like one of the closest guys to Vettel, and Vettel was dominating all of those races, and there are only a couple of them, and it was Grosjean generally who was actually battling with him. So I think personally it'd be really interesting to see Grosjean in a top team, one that could win races. I mean, yes, he's got quite a few podiums in his F1 career, but never that elusive victory. So who knows, top team I think with Grosjean could definitely work out. Maybe him and Sergio Perez in a top team. Yeah, I can't see that happening. So a lot of people in F1 have short memories, including myself. Let's be honest, from time to time I forget how good certain people were at certain times. And I think one sort of case of this of recent is Pascal Wehrlein. A lot of people thought, oh, Giovinazzi's had a good couple of races, so he probably deserves to keep that seat. So I remember how good Pascal Wehrlein was last year. He was the guy consistently beating his teammate who was just ultra quick. Getting that manner out of Q1 was just a surprise in itself, and he did it on quite a few occasions last year for them. So I think he was such a good driver. I was a bit gutted, to be honest. It's a tough one, because obviously I love Bottas being at Mercedes now, but I was also a little bit gutted that they didn't go for one of their junior drivers, either Ocon or Wehrlein. But Pascal Wehrlein in that Sauber this year, this is his first race of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Obviously qualifying he's just been, he's had good qualifying results, so who knows where the race is going to go. Is he going to score their first points of the season? But I think honestly we're going to hopefully see him in a top team soon. I don't know, there's some sort of behind the scenes thing with Pascal Wehrlein. Apparently he doesn't have a good temper or something. I'm not really too sure. I don't know the details, but maybe that puts off some big teams. I don't know. I really don't know the behind the scenes, but this is just sort of rumours, and they could be just rubbish. Let's be honest, they probably are. So Pascal Wehrlein, I think he's a really talented driver. He's one of the younger German drivers as well. You know, German has a great pedigree in Formula 1, and you know, Vettel's getting a bit on. He's is he in his 30s, or he's quite near his 30s at least, and we're going to start to get a new wave of German sort of top level drivers in soon. I think he's the first wave of them. So Pascal Wehrlein, an incredible driver, and I think we'll see him in the top team soon. Who knows whether it's going to be Mercedes, maybe, who knows? Would they go with Ocon instead? Who knows? It's going to be an interesting battle between those two to get that Mercedes seat if Bottas decides to move on at the end of the season. Who knows? But he's qualified in the pole position, hasn't he, Bottas? So big thumbs up there. It's nice to see a bit of an alteration. But who knows? Hamilton's probably going to still win the Grand Prix. You guys are watching this after the Grand Prix, so you know, but I don't. So I'm sort of like, what do I say? So if we assume that Carlos Sainz leaves Toro at the end of the season, which is generally the case, nobody spends more than like 3 years there, I think he's going to be like the hottest property on the grid, because let's be honest, out of contract, no break clause or any of that sort of stuff. He's also going to be like really talented young driver. He's like 23, 24. He's a really young person to have that potential, and he's really proved over the last like 1.5 seasons how good he really is. He didn't have the greatest first season in Formula 1 alongside Kvyat. I think Kvyat sort of showed he was a better driver, but ever since, he's really stepped it up, and I think Carlos Sainz, assuming he's not going to go to Red Bull next year, I can't really see that happening. I think unless Verstappen or Ricciardo suddenly decide to move on. You know, we have these rumours that Ricciardo and Verstappen both are linked to Ferrari, but so many people are linked to Ferrari every second of the week. It's probably not going to be either of those two, but we think maybe teams like Renault, teams like Williams, they've got to be looking at Carlos Sainz as a really good potential young star for their teams. Both of those teams are going to be looking for maybe a driver at the end of the season. Maybe Palmer leaves, maybe a Massa leaves. They're going to want to have a young, feisty, really talented young driver in their teams, and obviously they're quite big teams as well. I don't know whether the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari are going to be looking at someone like maybe Carlos Sainz, but who knows? There could be sort of influences outside of Carlos Sainz's control, depending on where he goes in the future. But I think personally, he'll be in a top team very soon. If he keeps up the performances that he's had over the last couple of years, or at least 1.5 years of Formula 1, I think he's going to be guaranteeing himself in a decent team soon, because let's be honest, he's really outperformed it a lot of the time. That Grand Prix last time out obviously reminded everyone how good he was. We talked about people in F1 having short memories. You need to be performing every single week to show how good you are. Because if you miss like 3 or 4 weekends in a row, you're like, where's that guy? Is he any good still? So last one on this list is not really sticking with the trend of this one, but he's the guy that's recently moved from a mid-table team to a top team in Valtteri Bottas. I wanted to include him because I think he sort of proved, I'm not saying this just because he qualified on pole, and he probably didn't, but maybe won the Grand Prix in Bahrain. I'm not saying that just because he's suddenly now becoming good, but I've thought for a couple of seasons at least Bottas was going to be getting this jump up soon. I think he's proved, since he's gone to Mercedes, he's not as far away from Lewis Hamilton as a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people thought he'd be like 5 or 6 tenths behind. Generally, he's been like 1 or 2 tenths behind, obviously getting the advantage here in Bahrain, but I think he's really proved how good he is, and I think he's probably actually closer to Hamilton than Rosberg was over the last few years, especially at the start in 2014. I think he's definitely closer to Hamilton. So it's an interesting season here, guys. Who knows whether Valtteri Bottas can challenge Hamilton here? But it was really good for me, at least, when I saw that promotion. Yes, I was a bit gutted for Wehrlein or Ocon. It would have been nice to see Mercedes promote from within, but at the same time, Valtteri Bottas, it was his time. He needed to get into a big team in the next like 1 or 2 seasons to sort of make his career. So big thumbs up from Mercedes to take that risk with him as well. And I know he's got links with Toto Wolff, so it wasn't so bad. But yeah, I think that was a good driver move, and I think Bottas this season is going to prove how good he is and see whether he actually stays at Mercedes beyond this season. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like on the video. It is always appreciated. Hopefully we can hit 150 likes. That'd be epic. You may have noticed we have started to get some new posters up here. I mean, I took that one up there from home, and we've got the little Esteban Gutierrez signed card thing up there. Very cool. So that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know of any posters you want me to fill up these white gaps with. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've got anything interesting you'd like to see up there as well. You can maybe leave like an Amazon or eBay link. That'd be epic. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Have an epic day, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow for a live stream.